In the spring of 2012, my family and I decided to make a quick trip over to the park. It was a beautiful day, and as such, we wanted to have a little picnic. We had just finished setting up our food and actually started to eat when a dreaded phone call came in. It was her sister calling from Thailand. Now, they had talked often, and so having her call was not a abnormal thing. But the fact that she was calling when she should be asleep, that was the thing that was odd. So luckily we had enough reception. My wife answered the call, and within moments she knew the purpose. Unfortunately, her mother had fallen down and never recovered. She had actually passed away. My wife cried a lot that day, and since it was lunchtime for us, we headed home and my wife started packing her things. Both of us did not know if we could get her on a flight. Right after everything was packed up in suitcases, and this was packing for both my wife and my daughter, who was very little at the time, we headed towards the San Francisco airport and stopped by our favorite airline at the time, which was China Airlines. Explained the situation to the people at the counter. It was probably around 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night, which was the perfect time for us because normally the flights that we would take to Thailand, they would leave at like 1 o'clock in the morning. So the China Airlines staff were very, very understanding of the situation. They were able to get my wife and daughter on a flight that very night. The good thing is that they didn't price gouge or anything like that. It was just the normal cost of a flight. So financially, it didn't cripple us because of this unfortunate situation. So within what felt like 24 hours, my wife was back home and she was with family, dealing with the situation and preparing for a funeral. So what are we doing today? In this video, we are gathering today to remember her mother. So we're actually making Tamboon, which is making merit with the monks. So like any other Tamboon sessions, we make a donation of money, food, and we pray for her mom. It obviously hurts very much to lose a loved one. The unfortunate part about this whole incident is that 2 months after my wife's mom had passed away, my mom and dad were actually scheduled to take a flight out to Thailand to meet her for the very first time. That never happened. Now, we didn't cancel the trip. We still moved forward with it. We tried to make the best of what we had left. And what we did have was my mom and dad were able to meet both of my wife's older sisters and older brothers. And in addition to that, they got to fall in love with Thailand. We traveled all the way to the north to Chiang Mai and Chiang Rai, all the way down to Pattaya and everywhere in between, including Ayutthaya, Sukhothai, and meeting neighbors, friends. I had a blast. I actually enjoyed it. I haven't been back since. I think that's partly due to their age, but my dad has talked about coming back out this way. So we'll see if that happens. Funny story, on the second trip that I came out to Thailand, I had actually started to teach myself how to speak Thai. I hadn't learned very many words. I learned numbers. For some reason, that's actually stuck in my head. The very first time that we went to meet her mom in the Phitsanulok province, I remember walking up to the house. She was sitting outside, and I thought I would introduce myself and speak in Thai. I remember saying something like, "Sawadee Kap Ma," and she kind of looked at me funny, and I realized right away the mistake I had made. And my pronunciation probably right now is not correct either, but what came out of my mouth ended up being something like "hello dog" instead of saying "Sawadee Kap Ma," which is more like mom. So she laughed. So it was a good introduction. Actually, on that trip, I had gone there mainly to ask her mom if I could marry my wife. She agreed. Rest is history. So it was a very good trip. My very first trip to Thailand, talking with various people in the bars and when we would go travel to his sites and you would strike up a conversation with people there. The thing that I noticed that a lot of the Thai people, a lot of their stories were just filled with tragedy. Family members dying, people getting sick. And I kept thinking to myself, like, wow, are they trying to pull a fast one over me and just try to get sympathy and maybe try to squeeze out a little donation? But in the end, it really happens. There is a lot of tragedy and unfortunate circumstances happening. They deal with it in their own way, and they're not shy to share their story. I just couldn't get over everybody was telling the same story. Broken this, hurt that, injured this, hospital trip. It's like it was everywhere. After that, we headed to the graveyard, which is on temple grounds, and headed towards the burial area for her mom. In typical fashion, an offering was made, which was some food that she actually liked, although I joked in the video that she probably would have wanted some vegetables instead. Right before we put the food at the base of the burial structure, my wife notices there's a wasp nest on the outside. The last time we were there, a year ago, there were active wasps, and actually my wife and I both got stung, which was not fun because it felt like fire being applied to your skin. So whatever wasp nest that was on this structure, it was an old nest, and my wife was able to knock it right off. I swing behind the structure, and there's a couple doorways. The top doorway is where there's like, I guess you would call it a little mini urn. The urn itself was open, so I made sure that it was safe to put my hand inside and actually close it. There's a part at the bottom, another little doorway that was open, and my wife explained this could be used more for like family plot. Not that I'm planning to fill it up anytime soon, but this could be the resting place for all of us. And I keep saying burial ground, so it's not like a coffin in the ground type of thing. In Thailand, they do cremation. So if there's any leftover ashes, bone fragments, kind of sounds weird to say, but that would go inside this structure, which my wife told me the name of it. I don't recall. If you know what it is, leave a comment. So here I take a stroll through this graveyard, and you can see some of the other family plots. Some of them, unfortunately, have lost their top, and I'm not sure if that's from tree limbs falling down or if it's vandalism. Hopefully it's just Mother Nature going through its paces. While editing this video, my wife got unfortunate news that one of her friends from the same town had passed away. He was actually the same age as us. He passed away due to similar circumstances. He had stood up and passed out, fell down to the ground, and that was it. Some people think that it may have been related to the extreme heat that Thailand's been going through. I say it all the time, life is short, so enjoy every moment of it. Put your differences aside and be a better person. Rest in peace, Mama. You are sorely missed every day.